Morning folks, Adrian here from Wargaming for Fun, doing another Wednesday walk waffle. I can't believe a few hundred people tuned in to watch me spout off about ramblings or nothing in particular as I walk down the country lane, but there you go. First things first, I'd like to thank everybody who signed up for the, I'd like to thank everybody in general who signed up for the channel. But over the weekend we had quite an influx, and I'd like to say welcome to all those people. Hope you enjoy the content, and if you have any suggestions of stuff that you'd like to see, I'm not saying we can do it, but if we don't know it's what you want to see, then you know we're not going to make it, so please let us know. If you haven't been over the channel yet, I would encourage you to go over there. I know this is a shameless plug, but the forums are quite supportive. Normally I don't normally go over forums. I think it's spoilt a lot of the time by people who try to elevate themselves at the expense of others. And if you are that kind of person, don't head over to our forums, because we've got a nice atmosphere over the moment. There's a couple of armies that spring to mind that people are painting up as part of the fantasy escalation. Both warriors. One is Mac, who's doing a modern take using the new figures, you know, and the paintwork that he's done, stunning. If ever mine go on the same table, they will weep through sheer intimidation at these models. And the other one is Grimwald. Now if you get a chance to look at Grimwald's channel, or photos that he puts up, some of the models are as old as me. Well, not quite, but definitely older than some of you watching. And they're just amazing. Virtually every figure in his army is different. A lot of them are the old metal ones. His banners are something to die for if you have a look at those. I don't even think you'll have to move his models. You put them on the table, you just surrender. They're that nice looking. Now look at me here, notes. Stuff to remember while I'm walking along. Because after I've run that first 500 miles, I start to get a bit tired. I'm like Reef, professional. Got me a bit of paper, just keep referring to it. Okay. Last weekend, Scott came over for the whole weekend from Leicester. Stayed in a hotel in Shrewsbury. Picked him up from the train station on Saturday. Dropped him off on Saturday night, then picked him up on Sunday again. On Saturday we played a couple of fantasy games with the new demon lists we've got. One of those should be on the channel now by the time you see this video. The other one, I'm not sure when it'll go up. Chances are it's going to be next week. And then on Sunday, Scott took part in the kill teams games that we had. 8 people in the shed. It was cosy. Turned the heaters off after about 10 minutes because there was enough body heat in there. But we had a good time. Everybody there laughed. It's one of those days where you get home, you know, at the end of the day, your sides hurt because you've laughed that much. Best comedians of the day, definitely Andy and Ben. I still chuckle there when I see them in my mind posing for the photos. Hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. So some goodness coming up there, some moments. I don't know if I'll be able to put all the games up because the way it's set up in the man cave with the cameras, people tend to forget they're on camera after a bit, so they start saying inappropriate humour. Tusk. So I'll put up as many of those as I can use. What I might do is put them all up, and the ones where there are some toilet humour, shall we say, I'll put a warning on those, so if anybody is offended by that kind of language, and then I'll take it for the miss. That might be the best compromise. Let me know what you think. Oh, my ride home's arrived. Can you see that? Needs to, because like all marauder looking gentlemen, you need a chariot. You don't ride a horse. If you ride a horse, you cost too much and you're useless in battle. Everybody knows that. So today's talking point. I thought I'd need one because, you know, I'm going to run out of things to talk about. We have quite a few comments on YouTube. People getting back into the hobby after years and years. People who have stopped playing for one reason or another. And people who enjoy the fact that we have friendly games. It's some people seem to look at the channel and be amazed if we remind our opponent that they forgot shooting phase or something like that. I wonder who that could apply to. And I thought I'd talk about the concept of fun wargaming. Now I phrased it as fun wargaming rather than wargaming for fun, because, you know, I don't want people out there thinking that we're big-headed or anything and we think we're the only people who do that. And no, that's not the case. Most people who play Warhammer do so in their sheds, in the living rooms, on the kitchen tables. They're not necessarily interested in ripping the mate's face off, because it is the mate and they're going to be playing them again next week. So, you know, talking about aspects of fun wargaming. So, look at me looking at my notes. I'm going to spoil my reputation now for being less than professional, aren't I? So, why do I think people take the game too seriously? Well, beyond the obvious point that some people out there are just knobheads who have little empathy for the person they're playing, and all they're interested in is winning at all costs, even if that's at the cost of opponents to play against. You do have things which can turn even a normal person, shall we say, or a normal balanced person, into a result fiend, shall we call them. One of them I've noticed, well, these are only my opinions, folks, and you know what they say about opinions. Opinions are like arseholes. Everybody has one. On forums you will see people make a comment and their signature for their forum will have something like Dark Elves win 96, losses 2. And you know that person spends a lot more time thinking about those 2 losses than the 96 wins. They don't think this is a really fantastic hobby. I've had 98 games with my Dark Eldars. Brilliant. You know, I'm really getting my money's worth out of this hobby. And if you have an investment or status, shall we say, off the amount of wins you have, then winning matters, because if you don't, it's going to be 96 games and 3 losses. And, you know, what will the world think of you if your loss rate has just jumped up by 50%? So, I was talking via email to Dave about this. We were discussing the aspects of cheese in different lists. And for me, with the hobby, I remember the fun I had. I can remember playing John, must have been 2 to 3 years ago. I think, and I say I think, because I'm not 100% sure of the result, or even the armies we were using. He needed to make 12 saves. And he needed something like 6s. And he rolled 10 of the buggers, which turned the battle, well, turned the round in his favour. Now, I remember that. I still chuckle about that when it recalls to memory. And that's the story I tell at pubs. I don't sit there thinking, who won that game? I can't remember. I genuinely cannot tell you who won that game. So, I suppose it depends, or your attitude to wargaming with fun in mind comes down to the kind of person you are and what's important with you. But if you find yourself starting to keep track of your results to the point where you feel the need to share it with the world, then maybe you're taking it a bit too seriously. Maybe. Who's to say? Next one down. Yeah, if you're at a club where if you lose, I just wiped the water off my top lip. I noticed when I watched last week's video, and those with beards will be, or even moustaches, will be able to empathise with this. You get water on your top lip on a cold day, especially when there's a bit of drizzle in the air like there is today, and on camera it looks like snot. It's not snot. It's not, honest, it's not snot. Anyway, back to the club. I'm not a member of a club now because, you know, I'm playing 200 games a year. I'm very, very fortunate in that. So I don't need to, and I've got a range of people who come to the shed, the man cave, and play. Now, me and Andy could play each other every week, and Dave, you know, on Wednesdays, and not get bored. But if you're at a club, in a group of friends, shall we say, you know, the kind of people you only see at the club, you don't socialise with outside, and you lose a game to one of them, say, and that person rubs it in your face for the next 2 to 3 years, then again winning becomes more important. Unless you're the kind of person who tells them you've had enough of listening to them going on about the one time they bet you, and you'd rather not hear it anymore. Whereas most people, I think in that environment, will think, right, I'm going to build a filth this, I'm going to rip his face off. And in reaction he does the same. So by the end of the day, within a very short period of time, everybody at that club is taking filth to build each other's, to beat each other's armies. You know, you end up playing in a shark pit then, rather than playing a social game with your mates. So that's one of the other reasons why I think people can lose their fun, shall we say, in the game. That's the second orange I've seen today. That's not an orange, that's a tomato. Shows how healthy eating I am, doesn't it, folks? Right, next one. Do you want to win, or do you want to challenge? Now, personally, most of the people I play against would rather have a close loss. I mean, don't get me wrong, folks, nobody likes having the fun, the stuffing kicked out of them week after week. But most people would rather have a close game and lose than, you know, a win at all costs attitude. I've seen people play filth lists against kids, and you think, you know, well done, you'll sleep well tonight. But when I was a member of the club, there was a kid there who turned up with 2,500 points of Skaven. I only had 2,000 points of Ogres, so we played each other. Now that kid, I say kid, I'd guess he'd be 11 or 12. I've been playing what's a relatively complicated game for a couple of years at the club. Never won. Playing adults, because there wasn't any other kids, they were all into 40k. Never won, so he's going there week in, week out, and getting the stuffing kicked out of him, and he's still going. So I said, okay, play your 2,500 points against the 2,000 points of Ogres. And he narrowly beat me. I've never seen anybody smile so much. If he was a girl, he'd have had lipstick on both ears. Now, I got more joy from that expression on his face than I would have got satisfaction in beating an 11-year-old. You know, so think about who you're playing, the ability level they're playing at, and, you know, tailor your list accordingly. Because it's a social game, it's a shared experience between the two of you. Martin made a good point. Martin, who you'll see on Reef's channel when we were at Giant Hammer, that you should always consider how your opponent feels about what you're playing. I suppose a good test would be that if you turn up to a game and the first thing you do of that game is roll a dice to see whether you're playing your army or the opponent's army, if you'd be happy or not. If you'd be horrified at the thought of playing their army rather than yours, maybe you're playing a bit too much filth in there. Because I think when you sit at a table, you always overestimate the opponent's strengths, so you tailor to those. But I don't know, I hope these points are making sense, folks, because I am rambling. This is a waffle. So where have I got on my list? Hey, professional. Yeah, I've covered would I swap armies at play? Is my opponent having a good time? Will that opponent be back? You know, often you can get one person moving to a club who's ultra competitive, only plays tournament games, wants you to only play tournament style lists against them, and then rips everybody's faces off every time they come. And he's throwing dice around the room if they're not, you know, on the verge of throwing the table. So if that's the only opponent you get, after a while you're going to start or stop going to the club, because it's not fun. It's not fun anymore. I hope the camera's okay, folks, because it is drizzling and it's starting to build up on the camera. Yeah, one point that I would like to emphasise, that if you can paint a model which is hobby to a high standard, that proves you have talent. And you know what I'm talking about. Some of those models that you see that take your breath away. You know, you'll see a banner, and we've had banners posted on our website. One did a portrait of his mate on a banner. You know, that person has talent. You could look at what they've done and you think that shows something about that person. If you beat someone else in a game of Warhammer, what does it really show about you? Not just Warhammer, but wargaming in general. What does it really show? It shows you're good at tactics, but at the end of the day, the dice went better for you a lot of the time than they did for your opponent. It proves nothing about you as a person. So I think if we keep that in mind when we're playing, we'll have a lot less invested in the game that we're playing, and we'll enjoy the journey rather than the destination, shall we say. So that's the end of my rambling on fun wargaming. I don't know what this is going to sound like. I'll probably sound like a diatribe of me just spitting out blurb, but we'll see. So what I need from you folks is future topics. I need you to tell me what you're looking for when you play a game of Warhammer. Ooh. I need you to tell me what you're looking for in a Warhammer opponent, what you're looking at in a game, what you're looking for, what kind of things you want out the hobby. Because if we all share how we feel and what we'd like, maybe we'll make a difference to some of those people who've just got caught up in the ferocity of winning at all costs. My paper's getting wet now. Also, what other things would you like to hear my diatribe or rambling on about in the future? Let me know, and if I have an opinion, I'll state it through. But please bear in mind, folks, these are my opinions. They're no more valid than anyone else's opinions. You know, just I hope you take it with the thoughts it intended. And for watching to the end of this, I'm going to reward you with some dad jokes. Now, I've noticed quite a few people on YouTube have had babies recently, and congratulations on the wonderful life journey that you are about to embark on. But I've got 3 children, shall we say, and they are 16, 18 and best 20 this year. And when they get to that age, folks, it is like birds chirping in the nest. They're more interested in your wallet and food than they are in you. Sad, but it takes you a bit to realise that. You know, gone are the days where I get excited about one of my kids having a poo in a nappy. But it is payback time for all that cleaning up you did earlier in life. Now, women tend to get their, or ladies, tend to get their revenge through embarrassment, showing baby photos and stuff like that. You know, naked in the bath at the age of 3 months and all that kind of stuff, to potential boyfriends and girlfriends. That's payback for all the cleaning up they did. Dads can't really do that. It'd be a bit weird. So we get our revenge through dad jokes. When they bring their mates round, you start telling the dad jokes. Before too long, you've got the house back to yourself again. So I'd like you to send me your dad jokes and I'll tell them on the channel. Now, dad jokes only work if they make you groan. They've got to be mildly humorous, a little bit of thought, but they've got to make you groan. Here's an example of dad joke for this first week. Okay, you ready? On a winter theme. 2 snowmen in the field. One of the snowmen turns to the other and says, "Can you smell carrot?" "How many have you groaned?" "How many?" "How many?" That's the kind of joke we're looking for. Another one. I was walking down the road the other day and somebody threw some shampoo at me. Turned out it was real poo. Oh, I felt that. I felt that through the time. That was a time wave sent from your groaning back in time. And finally, this one's fairly well known, so it probably won't have as much impact. Impact, he says, telling corny jokes on a winter's day walking down the lane. So here we go. Final dad joke of the week. Went to a zoo the other day. The only animal they had was one dog. It was a Shih Tzu. Oh, see? Different levels. So with that gem, folks, thanks for staying with me. Thanks for all the encouragement. They do say the camera adds 10 pounds when it points at you. I've got about 5 pointing at me at the moment. So I do this walk every day, but I can't ramble every day, folks. For one thing, I get looked at, weirdly enough, by the neighbours when 8 men walk into a shed and stay there for 12 hours. So I'll catch you all again, and I'll see you in a week. Take care.